All right, let's dive right in. Have you ever listened to doctors talk and felt like they were speaking a completely different language? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're going to take the human body, which can seem super complex, and turn it into a simple, easy-to-read map. By the end of this, you'll know the fundamental language used to navigate our own anatomy.
So let's kick things off with a deceptively simple question. If I'm talking about my left arm, am I talking about the arm on your left or on my left? You know, in day-to-day life, we can usually figure it out from context. But in medicine, oh no. That kind of confusion could be a huge problem. We need one single unbreakable rule. So, whose left is it anyway?
To figure that out, we're going to go on a quick 4-part journey. First up, we'll set our map's starting point, its North Star, with the standard position. Then, we'll explore the major continents of the body, its main compartments. After that, we'll learn the actual language of location, which is kind of like anatomy's compass. And finally, we'll put all that new knowledge to the test and map out the abdomen.
Okay, so first things first. Just like any good map, we need a universal starting point, right? A fixed "you are here" so that everyone is on the same page. In the world of anatomy, this starting point is absolutely everything.
And here it is. This is called the anatomical position. It's the standard reference for everything we're about to talk about. The person is standing up straight, looking forward, with their feet flat and their palms facing forward. Now, here's the solution to our first problem. Right and left always, and I mean always, refer to the right and left of the person you are looking at, not your own. And just like that, our my left or your left problem is completely solved.
All right, with our "you are here" marker set, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. You can think of the body's major cavities as the huge continents on our map. These are the big open spaces that protect all of our most important organs.
Officially, these spaces are called body cavities. And here's a cool vocab word for you. The organs that are tucked away inside them, the heart, lungs, stomach, all that good stuff, are called the viscera.
So at the highest level, you can think of the body as having two main containers. Towards the back, we have the dorsal cavity. Think of it as the protective case for our central nervous system. And then toward the front, we have the much bigger ventral cavity, which holds pretty much everything else. Let's take a peek inside each one.
So let's look inside this nervous system headquarters. Up top, inside the skull, you've got the cranial cavity, which is basically a bony helmet for the brain. And that space flows right down into the vertebral cavity, which is the long, protected tunnel inside your spine that keeps the spinal cord safe.
Now, if we flip around to the front, we're in the massive ventral cavity. The big landmark here, the thing that divides this space, is the diaphragm, that powerful muscle you use to breathe. Everything above that muscle shelf is the thoracic cavity, which is basically your chest, and everything below it is the huge abdominopelvic cavity.
Let's zoom into the chest for a second. It's really cleverly organized. On the right and left, you have the pleural cavities, and each one holds a lung. But that space right in the middle, sandwiched between the lungs, that's called the mediastinum. And wow, is it prime real estate. It's home to the heart, the trachea, and the esophagus. Okay, heading south of the diaphragm, we're in that giant abdominopelvic cavity. The upper part, the abdominal portion, is packed with organs like the liver, stomach, and intestines. And the lower part, the pelvic portion, holds things like the bladder and reproductive organs. But here's the really interesting part. Unlike the chest with its separate rooms, there's no actual wall down here. It's all one big, continuous space.
Okay, so we've got the continents of our map figured out. Awesome. But now we need to know how to actually give directions, right? For that, we need a compass and some grid lines to say exactly where one thing is compared to another.
I mean, it's not super helpful to just say the heart is in the chest. Where in the chest? Is it above the diaphragm, in front of the spine, to the side of the esophagus? To answer those kinds of questions with precision, we've got to learn the special terms on anatomy's compass.
The great thing is these terms always come in pairs of opposites. So superior means toward the head, while inferior means away from the head. Easy, right? Your nose is superior to your chin. Next, anterior means toward the front, and posterior means toward the back. So your sternum is anterior to your heart. And finally, medial is closer to the midline of the body, while lateral is farther away. Your lungs are lateral to your heart.
And here's the rest of our compass. Proximal and distal are special terms we use mostly for arms and legs. Proximal means closer to where the limb attaches to the body, and distal means farther away. So your knee is proximal to your ankle. Last pair. Superficial means toward the body's surface, and deep means away from it. Your skin is superficial to your bones. It's that simple.
All right, a compass is great, but a really good map has grid lines, like latitude and longitude. Well, anatomy has that too. We call them planes. They are just imaginary flat surfaces that we use to slice through the body so we can see what's going on inside. There are 3 main ones, and they all sit at right angles to each other.
First up, the sagittal plane. Imagine a sheet of glass passing vertically through the body from front to back. It divides the body into right and left pieces. Now, if that slice is dead center, giving you perfect mirror image halves, we call that a mid-sagittal plane. Any cut that's off to the side is just a parasagittal plane.
Next, we have the frontal plane, which is also sometimes called the coronal plane. This one also runs vertically, but it goes from side to side. Imagine it dividing the body into a front or anterior half and a back or posterior half.
And our final grid line is the transverse or horizontal plane. This one, as the name suggests, runs horizontally. It slices the body into an upper or superior part and a lower or inferior part. This is what gives you a cross-section. Think about slicing a loaf of bread. Each slice is a transverse view.
Okay, moment of truth. We've got our standard position, our continents, our compass, and our grid lines. Let's put it all to work and try to map one of the busiest, most crowded neighborhoods in the entire body, the abdomen.
Now, if you're a specialist, you might use this super detailed map. It uses 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines to create 9 specific abdominal pelvic regions. You get these really precise names like epigastric or right lumbar. It is incredibly detailed, but is it always the most practical tool for the job?
Yeah, it's super precise. But can you imagine being an EMT in a noisy ambulance trying to remember if it's the hypochondriac or the iliac region? It's a little complex for a quick and dirty diagnosis in an emergency, which, of course, is why there's a much simpler way.
And that's why, for everyday clinical work, most professionals use a much simpler map. You just draw 1 vertical line and 1 horizontal line through the navel, and boom, you've got 4 quadrants. The right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, and left lower quadrant. Simple, fast, and super effective for telling someone where it hurts.
And there you have it. We've built a complete mapping system for the human body. We established our universal starting point, we explored the major continental cavities, we learned to use the compass of directional terms, and we laid down the grid lines of the body planes. We even saw how different maps are used for different jobs. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you're watching a medical show and the doctor says there's pain in the RUQ, what map are you going to picture in your head?